right, guys, welcome to another episode of Social Banter, a place where we talk about issues around us in the society, trending issues, and all that. We just discuss around it and have fun. So, you're welcome to yet another episode. And if you are liking our discussion, please like and subscribe because that's how we roll. Today, I have again with me the Bishop of Banterbury in person of Mr. Olusheye. Okay. And my name is Boyega. So, we get straight into the matter right now. Today we are going to be talking about music, the music industry of Nigeria, because basically what I see about the music industry of Nigeria is, yeah, there are lots of talents, there are lots of people doing so well, you understand, for the country, but the lyrical content and the production quality, yeah, the production quality is also okay, but when you talk about the musical arrangement and all that, there is still more to do, in that aspect. And then when you look at the lyrics, most of their lyrics are shallow. Is there any way they can do something about it, or do we think this is how it should be? We should be promoting this so-called mediocrity and call it the best of us. So that's what we are going to be talking about today. And I don't know, do you have anything to say about that? Yeah.
Well, I would definitely not agree with you. We are not promoting mediocrity, to be honest. Well, somebody once said that the biggest room in this world is the room for improvement. Yes, we are definitely not where we ought to be, but we are far, far gone from where we used to be. I remember growing up in the primary school days, secondary school days. The most popular musicians back then, especially when we talk about the youths, the hip hop world, then that's where you'll be talking about the likes of Tupac Shakur, Julio, LL Cool J, Busta Rhyme. Later on, we have the likes of DMX, Joe, Oshere, R. Kelly. You understand? And hardly would you attend a party back then and you hear Nigerian made songs being played on the dance
Yeah,
floor,
of course, of course.
except for the people I would like to call the real traditional musicians like likes of Sonny Ade, Ebenezer Obey. But sometimes in the late 90s, when the likes of Remedies, the legendary Two Face, he came with the Plantation Boys back then, Remedies, where we have Idris Abdul Karim, Tony Tetwila, and all these guys, Ex Appeal, one after the other, they came up with these, in quotes, back then, whack hip hop, like Milsha,
Yeah,
Komo.
I wanted to say that. I
And
remember that time that my sister came from a party. I was just singing it. I was like, "What is this now?"
yeah,
Because it was new. You understand? New hip hop in Nigeria. Yeah.
yes, understand. You understand? Those
Yeah. Yeah.
days, when these guys came out, definitely, well, we just listened to them because it's our thing.
Like, yeah, they're just backing up. So let's encourage them. You understand?
Yeah,
Or that's even the best we had at that time. Yeah.
yeah. So, but when Plantation Boys came up with "Just Can't Get You Out of My Mind," all those,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can say, then when they started coming out, yes, a trend of quality started sort of. So from there, we enter into the P Square days, Jasmine Olofin, Azados. You understand? So people sounding so funny. You is the one, and really fair.
That's what
All
that
those,
does. And he used to be my favorite then. You understand? I even used to compare him to Two Face then. I picked him ahead of Two Face at
yeah,
that time. That's that time.
you understand. So, but comparing those days of great little beginnings to what we have now, that was the time that the major players in the music world will not even give us a second look.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
thankfully, we're in the days where you have Nigerians being nominated for Grammy Awards, even winning Grammys.
yeah,
You
yeah.
understand? So we've really, to be honest, I think we've done so well for ourselves. Well, looking at the quality, well, whether shallow or deep, it is our thing. We must promote it.
Okay, let me
Um,
say this. Sorry to cut you short because we need to talk about a lot of things. So I don't want us to dwell too much on one. Okay,
yeah,
now when I use the word mediocrity, not that's why I did this, you understand, for lack of better word, you understand.
yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is when you have the likes of Portable, you have the likes of Yongidu, and people are not even doing anything that you understand. We can just see them as cruise cash outs, and they are now becoming the so-called celebrity. And people are even beginning to compare them to it's like, okay, yes, let's understand that there is a space for cruise, there is a space for serious music. And it doesn't matter. Someone can be a cruise catcher, so to speak, and then still trend and still be a celebrity, but you don't regard them as mainstream, musicians or so. You understand? So when we begin to pick up these ones, like when this guy came up. What's his name again? Um, what's his name now? This guy that I just mentioned.
Portable.
Portable. When Portable came up, I think in 2021, people are like, okay, because he did the collabo with Olamide and this other guy, you understand, like, okay, it's new, but I think the sound is nice. But when it came up later and we now started seeing the likes of Young Idu, the likes of there's this other one, and Kata Efe, you understand? It's like, okay, the whole thing is just becoming a comedy. You understand? A comedy club. You understand,
But
so to speak.
I,
So that's
I,
not real
I,
music for me.
wait,
So that's
guys,
why I said promoting mediocrity.
yes, I disagree. I disagree. I disagree. Sorry, I'm not an old man, but let's go back a bit into the memory lane.
It's like you are taking me back to the. You're
Yes,
sounding like an old man. Always go back to the memory lane. You are
let's go
old.
down the lane again, so
Okay.
that the way history always uh
Okay.
puts some touchlight into the future. Now, when we're talking about the likes of Remedy the other time, Tony Tetwila, um, what's this man again? I've forgotten his name now. Two
Toothpaste.
Face,
Yeah,
Face,
toothpaste.
Face. A lot of these guys, Jasmine Olofin, a lot of these guys back then. Don't forget, there was some certain guys called Ajegunle. There was some certain Ajegunle boys there, where
Yes,
you
yes,
have
yes.
Daddy Shoki,
There
uh,
are
ah,
that the
I
shocking is
mean,
not even among those pairs. Like he started before them, and his own did not
yes,
come
but
with the hip hop
they
kind of
were all
stuff.
but you will agree with me, they were all making waves.
Yeah,
When
but he was making waves before these guys. You understand? His own did not come with the hip hop, trend. You understand?
of
He came with his own, yeah,
no,
yeah.
before the hip hop trend,
Mhm.
there was this in the early 90s. There was this Jamaican, what do you call it? Just a minute, please. There was this Jamaican storm that came to the likes of Shabarang, Shaggy, and the in thing in the late 80s to early 90s were the what do you call it? Was Raga. When you
Okay.
had Mr. Lover Man, and
Yeah.
it's Mr. Lover
Wow.
Man. You understand? When you see me tease a lot. One thing is music. Music is like a language. When some people are doing their thing in one corner, favor, no fortune in life, is a prostitute. Fortune is a prostitute. Permit the use of
Yeah, yeah.
language. For as a prostitute, fortune may just go in the way of somebody that you think like, for God's sake, what's Portable doing that will make him so big? But you will agree with me, Portable is no longer a small boy
Yeah, of course. Yeah, now.
in the industry. So the industry throws up these kind of people. Growing up, for a lot of in quotes, the elite class, For a lot of the elite class, Fuji music was whack. In
Yeah,
fact,
yeah, yeah.
I grew up in an environment where if you sing Fuji in my house, I won't call myself a Fuji person still. But the society has come to accept Fuji as a brand. In fact, for so many of us, a lot of people listen to Nice,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, Abolore,
yeah.
the Gongo. If you listen very well to Nice's major inspiration is from Fuji music. Nice music is a mixture of Fuji and folk music with a little blend of production that fits into what do you call it? High life. Small doctor say don't forget Nice. Terry G is another crazy person on his own.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as this thing, there is when it comes to music, there are a lot of varieties. And one thing I've come to find out about these varieties, I used to be a very, very conservative music critic because I grew up knowing some things that should be and some things that should not be. But I think growing up in life and seeing things from different perspectives, and at a particular point, I decided to, some parts that were locked with iron in my mind, I decided to open it up to see people for who they are. The truth of the
Okay,
matter is
now.
that even the whites, I'm driving at something that even in America,
Okay.
where we draw a lot of inspirations from in terms of measurement of quality, the truth of the matter is that we only get to hear those that managed to get to the big stage. There are so many white musicians. When it comes to, well, lyrical content, hip hop is actually not known for lyrics. I've tried to cast my mind back and back and back and back on both old school hip hop and the new school hip hop. But hip hop can be a lot of things. But one thing I've discovered that is hip hop has never really been that message driver thing like that.
Yeah, but right now we are not talking about hip hop. We are talking about the so-called Afrobeats. Okay, so an Afrobeat
I
is
think
that
it's all semantics. Afrobeat is just talking about Afro hip hop
not
because
all
most people,
Afrobeats are Afro hip hop, because I think that's the reason, a lot of people are springing up with different, genre, these days. One will say I'm Afro Pluto, another will say I'm Afro I'm Afro Fusion, another will say I'm Afro this, Afro that, you understand? But in all, not all of them sound hip hop in there. For example, if you listen to Burna Boy, he has always been doing something in his music. Even though he himself said he's into Afrofusion and all that, but you will see something that has been consistent in his music, that he always links it back, either from the sound or from some lines of, the lyrics, link it back with the real Afrobeat. Fela Anikulapo, is either you are hearing something like saxophone, or you are hearing something like, making a reference to maybe a particular word or line, to the works of Fela Anikulapo and all that. So that can be called, really, I can see that as Afrobeats. You understand? And a lot of them are into, so some of them are hip hop, but not all of them are Afro hip hop. Because I think Afrobeat is actually a genre of its own, and we need to give it to them. You understand? Because even the
and
hip hop stars.
wait, coming to that, um, Afrobeats used to be the old Afrobeats, which was a genre invented by Fela. It's actually not so much in existence today. What we have these days, in fact, what we have these days called hip hop and the rest, it's actually an hybrid. It's not just, if you listen to Wizkid, I'm not a big fan of Wizkid, but Wizkid is another person that draws so much inspiration from Fela too. In fact, when you listen to
Agree.
his early days,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whiskey is another, but the original Fela made Afrobeats is quite different from what they call the Afrobeat of today.
Of
The
course, I know
Afrobeat of
that. Yeah, I know that.
the
Yeah,
Afrobeat today is much of hybrid of so
so
many
many
things.
things. Yeah,
You
yeah.
understand?
That's why I said
So many things that the Afrobeat of today has so much from the traditional high life. In fact,
yes.
much
But you were saying hip hop the other time. That's why I was trying to correct that because even the hip hop people themselves, they are trying to learn all the beats. You know, most of the Afro beats has this
that's why I
and
call
all
it
this
an
traditional stuff that they want to be
yeah,
added to. So that's why
you know,
I didn't say I
like
didn't
I was
agree
saying
with
the
that.
other time, when it came, when all these things started, it started with so much of fusion of, uh, when we're listening to rap. In fact, I used to have a friend, very good rapper, very, very good rapper. If you listen to this guy, he has all this Tupac flow, Even after the death of Tupac, not so many people could feel into that shoe. But when he went to the studio and did some EPs, gave me some of this thing, I said, wow, guy, realistically speaking, this is unprecedented around there. It's actually, when it comes to, when we are talking about rap, a lot of things has happened to rap in Nigeria. A lot of Ajasa came with his version. And from there, the late Dagrin picked
I
it up.
agree.
Olamide, those guys are along the same line.
Yeah.
In the days of, what's this guy called now? Idris. You know,
That one was
rap,
like hip hop rap for him.
you
Yeah.
understand. So
Yeah.
what happened to this guy, this friend of mine? While we're talking, I said, well, this is very, very nice. If you had produced this when I was in secondary school, I'm telling you, because when I was in secondary school, it was the American version of rap that was
Yeah.
much. But even in the American version, listening to people like Notorious B.I.G. and when the likes of DMX came on stage, the DMX version of rap was another thing entirely. Then we had what's this guy? Busta Rhyme, so many things. So at every point in time, musically, there are always options. But this guy, I told him, I said, look, this rap will sell better if you are doing it in America or in Europe. But if you are doing this in Nigeria, I use the Yoruba word. I said this particular rap, if you buy, that means it may just make you hungry instead of giving you money because um, your version of rap is so foreign that the local market may not really be able to relate with your rap. And they will just say, oh, this guy is good. But would they be willing to listen for the second time? Would they be willing to pay their money? Whereas a certain Olamide will come, blend Yoruba with every other thing. A certain Fino will come, do some little. In fact, there was a time I was, apart from the flows in Olamide, when you talk about people, the normal rap we grew up knowing in the 90s, Olamide is more of a talker than a rapper. But he has created that niche for himself. You understand? So the hip hop music of today is a blend of high life with that American. When these guys in Nigeria came on stage, then what exactly will make them unique? Then they started introducing talking drum. And for God's sake, as we speak today, there is no rich music around this world. Even in the Amapiano, there's a way they still blend in the talking drum. The talking drum used to be the Yoruba thing in the past.
Yeah,
But
yes, 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 yes.
in fact, music has grown over the year, has evolved. Let me use the word evolve. Music has evolved over the years.